The latest federal budget aims to cut 28,000 public service positions over the next 3 years, and unions are already pushing back.
Every single one of those jobs reflect to public services that are being delivered. As far as I'm concerned, these cuts will impact people who rely on the services more than ever.
So that was Sharon D'Souza. She's the national president of PSAC, or the Public Service Alliance of Canada. And she's just one of many warning the cuts will hurt the economy and people right across this country. For more on the uncertainty facing the public sector, I'm joined this morning by Nathan Pryor. He's the president of Canadian Association of Professional Employees. Welcome to your morning.
Thanks for having me.
Public service jobs, or government jobs, used to be the gold standard for career job stability. They had robust benefits, lots of protections in place, a pension. They could go throughout your whole career. Do these jobs live up to that reputation now in 2025?
Well, wages certainly haven't kept pace for comparable work, but I'd say in general, the pensions, the benefits, these are the kind of things that we set up to try to attract the best and brightest to serve the public, to serve this country. And we're in the middle of a national crisis right now. We just promised billions in new spending, including, propping up entire new offices like Build Canada Homes. So the idea that we would downgrade that and drive the best and the best talent away from the public service is a risk that I don't think we can afford to take right now.
So what has changed then in the public sector in the past few years?
Well, we've been blamed for a deficit that we didn't cause. Like the public service is actually more efficient than it's ever been. As a proportion of the operating budget, public servants actually cost less now than they did under Harper. We're 10% of the operating budget for public service salaries, benefits under Trudeau, and we were 14% under Harper. And that shocks most people given the way that it's spoken about in public. And what happened is that they start blaming public servants for a deficit that they didn't cause, which is caused by making huge promises to Canadians and then not being able to pay for it because of tax cuts for the rich. But people need to do the work when you make these big promises. And what happened last year is that we cut 10,000 jobs, then we immediately shattered the outsourcing records. So that money just went straight to consultants that charge 25 cents more on the dollar than it would have cost just to keep a public servant in their job. So we're seeing teams lose a lot of good people. We're losing institutional memory. People are burning out at a record clip right now, and it's driving the best and the brightest people away because they can't be on this hamster wheel. People join the public sector in part because they want to serve their country, but also because they're bringing their talents to the table. And when they're not given the tools and the resources that they need to do their work effectively, not only does it make them want to leave, but it makes services and programs worse for Canadians.
As Canada continues to navigate an uncertain economic landscape, what's the chance of more cuts to federal jobs in the future?
I think the big question is, what does the government want to do? What programs does it want to deliver? And who's going to do the work? We can't keep doing this thing where we make big promises to Canadians, don't have the resources to pay for them, and then start cutting public sector jobs for optics just to turn around and hire McKinsey or Deloitte to do the same work for a higher cost for taxpayers. So for right now, we'd like to know just what is being cut for Canadians. There's $60 billion of program cuts that weren't exactly spelled out in the budget. It's extremely vague what is being cut. There's a few things like the tree planting program and others, but $60 billion in cuts to programs and not really spelling out what is being taken away from Canadians. We want this government to own the cuts that they're making and tell Canadians and be honest with them about what's about to change on the ground.
It's been an interesting shift to watch. People in the auto sector are concerned. People in the sectors of this country that have close ties to the U.S. are worried about their jobs. It's interesting to see public servants also be worried about their positions. And we've run some stories even as of last night that have people saying, I don't know where those cuts are coming from. I don't know if I should be worried or not. What's your best advice? What are you seeing?
Our best advice is that we are going to have to look very closely at every single program that's about to be sunset, everything that's about to be taken away from Canadians. And I think we saw a really good example of the appetite for austerity, for major cuts to the public sector. When we saw these threats to women and gender equality before the budget happened, we were talking about 80% cuts at Women and Gender Equality Canada, which would have rolled gender equality back to like the 80s in this country. But every feminist organization in the country, every LGBTQ organization in the country, as well as public sector workers who deliver that work came together and said, we don't have an appetite for this. And they seem to have rolled that back pretty substantially. When a government is saying that we need to make these big sacrifices, what is the sacrifice that we're making? And taking it out on public servants who, like I said, cost less of the operating budget than they did under Harper right now is exactly the wrong way to do it. It's purely for optics. It's an ideological operation. It doesn't get serious about who's going to do the work to deliver on these commitments that you just made to Canadians. So we'd like the Prime Minister to get very specific very soon and own these cuts to Canadians and tell them what is about to change in your lives.
So Nathan, really quickly, just picking up on that point, what is the pushback? What is the fight? Like, what do you have that could possibly reverse this? Because it is optics, but it does have real world consequences. And as you say, if you cut public service, but they still need the service, you're going to bring in consultants and it's more money. So is that the pushback to the government saying it's going to cost you more to do this?
We've said that already, and this government has said over and over again that they're going to reduce all these consultant costs. We don't see how they're going to be able to square this. Like I said, they're standing up entire new offices like Build Canada Homes. That's great. We need to build housing around this country. Who is going to do the work is always the fundamental question. Public servants are more efficient to do this work, and we need to invest in our people. We need to build in-house capacity. We are facing down national threats like we haven't seen maybe ever in this country. These are very, very serious times, and it's not times to be playing ideological games and then quietly charging taxpayers more than you saved on the work that needs to be done by just hiring McKinsey or Deloitte to do the work that should be done by people that are investing in their careers and building up the institutional memory that faced down Trump before and can probably face him down again.
Nathan Pryor, great to talk to you this morning. Thanks for coming on.
Thanks for having me.
If you like that video, make sure to subscribe to the Your Morning YouTube feed, where you can find all kinds of new content posted every weekday morning.